What's up guys? So your boy's in quarantine and slacking off in terms of videos, not taking as much advantage of the free time as I should do. So today I'm going to try to start rectifying that. My last video of course was me answering questions about horror movies, one of my favourite topics to discuss. And in this video I'm going to answer some questions about James Bond movies, one of my other favourite topics to discuss. So this is a 007 25-day challenge that I found online. The idea is that for every day out of the 25 days, you answer one of the questions on the thing. I say fuck that, I'm doing all 25 questions in one video in one day, which is the one you're watching right now. So let's fucking go! Day 1, favourite Bond actor. For as big of a James Bond fan as I am, you'd think I'd have an actual decent answer to this question, but I honestly cannot choose just one of them. I have 3 favourite Bond actors. Timothy Dalton for me is the first one who comes to mind when I think of James Bond. But if I say Timothy Dalton's my favourite Bond, that means I can't say Roger Moore is my favourite Bond. And Roger Moore kind of is my favourite Bond, or at least he would be if Pierce Brosnan was not also my favourite Bond. I'm very conflicted. Day 2, favourite Bond film. For me, it's GoldenEye. And I want to put to bed a myth about GoldenEye and its popularity. GoldenEye, of course, spawned an incredibly successful and well-regarded video game tie-in that actually came out 2 years after the movie, but never mind. In recent years, I've seen a lot of people online claiming that the GoldenEye movie is actually not as good as people remember. The theory goes that Bond fans are conflating their positive memories of the GoldenEye game with the movie, and if the game hadn't come out, then the movie would not be as popular as it is. However, to that I say, I have never played GoldenEye on the N64. It's just never happened. I've always wanted to, it just has never happened. I don't own an N64, I never had. I was a PlayStation chad and still am, kind of, even though I don't play current consoles. This is getting off topic. The point is, I've never played the GoldenEye game, and GoldenEye is still my favourite Bond movie of all time. So all that shit they're saying, it isn't true. I have played Perfect Dark, however, which was sort of a spiritual successor to the GoldenEye game, and I fucking love Perfect Dark, so there's something. Day 3, favourite Bond girl. Could you guess it's Natalia from GoldenEye? Why do I love Natalia? Well, ay caramba! Day 4, favourite villain. I'm gonna go with Elliot Carver from Tomorrow Never Dies on this one. Jonathan Pryce is one of my favourite actors. I love his performance in this movie. He's so much fun to watch. It's funny to think now that when this movie came out and for years afterwards, people kind of thought it had an unrealistic plot because the villain was ultimately someone who was trying to manipulate the mass media for his own gain. But nowadays, in this era of fake news and all this weird misinformation bullshit that's coming out of the mainstream media, Elliot Carver's motivation suddenly doesn't seem so far-fetched. A villain who was truly ahead of his time. Day 5, favourite henchman. This is tough, there's a lot of great henchmen, and I really want to pick a lesser henchman to appear more interesting, but I'm going to go with Oddjob from Goldfinger. Because who doesn't love Oddjob? Whenever a character doesn't talk, but still manages to be incredibly memorable, that's when you know you have a good character. And he kills people with a bowler hat. Day 6, favourite Blofeld. Interestingly enough, I'm not going to go with the most obvious Adam choice, Donald Pleasance. My favourite Blofeld is actually his successor, Telly Savalas, who appeared in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. The only Blofeld to try to use biological warfare to get what he wanted. I wonder if he has anything to do with why I have to wear this shit on my face. Day 7, favourite M. I love all the M's, even Robert Brown, but I'm gonna go with Dame Judi Dench. She's so good that when they hard rebooted the series, no other cast members came back except for her because she was just irreplaceable. Even though they did eventually replace her with Fiennes, who is also a wonderful M, but you just can't top Dame Judi Dench. The woman was in Cats. Day 8, favourite Q. Desmond Llewellyn. How is that even a question? Would anybody choose anybody else? Day 9, favourite Moneypenny. A lot of my answers have pertained to the more modern era of Bond, so for this one I'll go to classic and say Lois Maxwell, the original and the best. Day 10, favourite Felix Leiter. David Hedison. Great chemistry with Roger Moore, great chemistry with Timothy Dalton, and no other Felix Leiter has made quite as many guest appearances on The Love Boat as David Hedison has, and I always love seeing him pop up because I love to watch The Love Boat. Day 11, favourite Bond ally. I'm going to say Columbo from For Your Eyes Only. If for no other reason than he's named after my all-time favourite television show, Columbo.
There's just one other thing, sir.
Day 12. Favourite Bond car or vehicle? Just to be different, I'm going to go with For Your Eyes Only again and say the Citroen VC2 or whatever that car is called. I love that little piece of shit. And that's a great car chase. Very underrated in a very underrated movie. Day 13. Favourite Q Branch gadget? Now that is a toughie. There's a lot of good ones. I've always been very partial to the wrist dart gun from Moonraker, where if you just flick your wrist like that, it shoots a poisonous dart out that paralyzes your enemy. I always thought that was really cool, and people don't talk about that gadget very much, so I guess I'll go with that one. Day 14, favorite pre-title sequence. So many good ones to choose from, but I'm going to go with Tomorrow Never Dies. Again, very underappreciated pre-title sequence. I think it's great the way the action just constantly escalates. Bond's never quite out of danger until right at the last second. It just builds and builds and builds.
Backseat driver.
Day 15, favorite opening title sequence. I'm a big fan of the GoldenEye title sequence, but since I've talked about GoldenEye a bit before, I'll go with something more original. I'll actually say Spectre for this one. I thought that was a pretty cool title sequence. Day 16, favorite Bond theme. Diamonds Are Forever by Dame Shirley Bassey. Yes, I like this one more than Goldfinger. Goldfinger's great, but Diamonds Are Forever is perfect. Truly flawless like a diamond. Day 17, favorite piece of soundtrack. Now that's really hard as someone who is really into movie scores. So I'll name a few standouts. White Knight and All in a Day's Work from Tomorrow Never Dies by David Arnold. Flight into Space from Moonraker by John Barry. And A Drive in the Country by Bill Conti from For Your Eyes Only, which accompanies the Citroen VC2 chase scene. Day 18, favorite action sequence. Favorite action sequence in any Bond movie. How am I supposed to answer that? Am I allowed to pass? Day 19, favorite piece of set design. Now that is a whopper. A while ago I was watching Moonraker and my dad walked in at the part where they're in that room that looks like a meeting room, but then it turns out to be underneath the rocket ship. My dad walked in and he looked at the set design and he said, Adam, they just don't make movies like that anymore. Day 20, favorite piece of costume design. Which is to basically say, which is your favorite bikini from the whole series? And for me, it's between Mary Goodnight's in The Man with the Golden Gun and Tiffany Case's in Diamonds Are Forever.
I want a diamond ring, I want some bracelets and everything. Daddy, you better get the best for me.
Day 21, favorite location. My favorite Bond location is between Eva Green's legs. Day 22, favorite Bond kill.
You wouldn't kill me. You'd miss me.
Yes.
Dive, Bond!
I never miss.
Day 23, favorite Bond quip.
I'm sorry. That last hand nearly killed me.
Day 24, favorite novel or non-fiction book. There's a book I'm reading at the moment, actually, the official biography of James Bond, which is a very interesting but ultimately fictional book that poses as being non-fictional and basically pretends to be the biography of the real-life super spy that Ian Fleming apparently based his character on. I don't think I did a very good job of explaining it, but it's a pretty neat premise for a book and a pretty interesting read so far. And finally, day 25. The kindest members of the fan base that you follow. Everyone in the Bond fan community is wonderful. Being someone who would suck James Bond's cock if I got the chance, I do follow a lot of Bond content creators, so I have to shout a few out. Of course, the best podcast in the world is James Bond Radio. Do You Expect Us to Talk is another great one. Calvin Dyson I've been a fan of for years. Dutch Bond Fan does a lot of great stuff. David Zaritsky on The Bond Experience has really interesting interviews with other people in the Bond community, including nearly all those people that I already mentioned. And everyone is just really, really lovely. And I love them all. And if there's any Bond fans watching this, which I hope there are, and it's not just people who don't really care about James Bond and don't know anything about what I'm talking about, I love you too. But if you're watching this and you don't know anything about James Bond and you're just watching it for whatever reason, I love you as well. And at the end of the day, I think that's really what it's all about. So, those were 25 days of James Bond that I did in probably too many minutes. Thank you for watching, again, regardless of your motivation. I hope everybody's doing okay during these troubling times. I hope not everybody has to wear a face mask all the time, because this is very irritating. Hopefully this blows over sooner rather than later. We can all be together again, we can all go outside, and I can finally get laid. Thank you for watching, I'll see you next time.